Hey, you have landed on Island Money 365. I am your host, Petra Ian Brown. I am so happy you are here. Travel with me as we hear migration and money stories of triumph, perseverance, and struggles of immigrants and their descendants, along with amazing resources that can help make your landing a little less bumpy. Welcome back, everyone. We are here on Island Money 365 in the studio. And today we have Simona Zaneta with us.
Yes.
I was going to say another name. I'm like, no, I was going to say, no, not Mona. Simona Zaneta with us. I'm so happy to have you in the studio. Welcome to Island Money.
Thank you so much. Ma, thank you for having me.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to give you a bio because you're doing amazing things. And by the way, we are friends through LinkedIn. I wanted to say I am so proud of everything that you're doing. Honestly, every time I see you put something on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm winning too. I'm like, yes, my sister, yes, you're doing your thing. So let me introduce all the amazing stuff that you are doing. So you are a registered nurse, health equity consultant, and life skill coach with over 20 years in healthcare, primarily as a cardiothoracic surgery nurse.
You got it, girl.
I have to emphasize that one. I've been practicing. Witnessing disparities in healthcare delivery to Black and Brown communities, you founded Simona Zaneta Consulting Services, LLC, female-run, minority-owned agency. Hello. Get it? That's what I'm talking about. Simona's consulting agency focuses on addressing health disparities by examining options, obstacles, and opportunities related to health and wellness. She offers seminars on community health practices, health advocacy action, conquering personal health crisis, and preparing for careers in healthcare. Her mission is to empower underserved communities with tools for health and success through awareness, support, and self-advocacy. I love that. Simona's vision is to promote overall health and financial growth by educating on wellness and business etiquette. I love it. And, I had a previous episode, I had a chiropractor on here. I know people saying, where's so much, doctor in the medical field? Well, most of us immigrants are in the medical field, okay?
That's right. Hospitality kind of industry,
exactly.
Right? Taking care of people. That's what we do. Take care of each other.
And what I want to ask you about as we jumping in, I'm going to get to all those questions. I should put out there to the audience, question I want you to answer for yourself and really think about as we go through this episode is, are you getting the proper care from your provider? Because Simona, that's what we're going to be hitting on today. Are you getting the proper care from your provider, right? As an immigrant myself, when I first migrated here, where do most of us go? Because we don't know the system yet. We go to the community clinic, right? When I first migrated, the first person I had was a little old lady. She was so kind, passionate, and she cared. But when she retired and moved on, I felt like I did not get that same care anymore.
Right.
I felt discarded, like I was looked down upon. I was only 10 at the time, so I can just imagine what my mom felt. My mom worked really hard. She was like, we're going to help and get some ourselves together so we can get, proper health care. But I don't know if it's only me, because at the community center, you community clinic, they're there for the community, but they see a lot of people. They see a lot of people, to their credit, immigrants, people who don't have the money, who don't have insurance. So I'm so happy you're here today just to talk about this and what our rights are, and then what you're doing to help create the change in the community. So with that, what inspired you to pursue this career in nursing, and what led you to specialize in this area of cardiothoracic surgery?
Thank you.
To begin with, I know you moved on, but
Absolutely. I would just want to thank you, first of all, for having me on your show. It is very appreciated. We all have to help each other out in hand when we're doing this kind of community work and outreach efforts, and when it comes to Black and Brown people. So thank you so much for this opportunity and this platform. So what led me to this? Nursing, first of all, was not my first choice of what I wanted to be when I was in high school. I wanted to be a teacher. There were so many other things in my mind that I wanted to be when I was in high school, but I had some life lessons that I went through, dealt with family and living with other people, secondary to a parent having some issues with substance abuse. And so I kind of was, living with people at the time when I was in high school, but still had that instilling and values that were set in me from my mother and my father. So, had a great life, but some people have bumps in the road and you learn from them. And that bump from my mom is what I learned is, what I wanted to be in life. And I had to take a test one day because in the counseling office in the high school, they're like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? They sit you at a computer and you take this test, and it's a kind of an aptitude test. And I scored very high mathematics, science, and health. And so my counselor at school stuck me in the allied health program and stuck me in all of these like biology and chemistry classes just from this test that I took. And at first it was like podiatrist. I don't like people's feet. Like, I'm not doing that. Another one was pediatrics. And I'll fast forward to say that pediatric wasn't my realm because I don't like seeing sick children. It was hard for me to deal with that in nursing school. In school, we had that allied health program. It was actually at East Hartford High. So shout out to East Hartford High and those counselors that really took the young lady in and say, we're not going to let you fall between those cracks. You're smart. We're going to help you out. So in that program, I grew to love nursing and grew to want to become a nurse. And when I went into the clinical, realm, we would have to leave school and go and have clinicals. I like taking care of people. And I am the caregiver of my family. As you get older, you see yourself in that role. So that's what led me to healthcare in general. But to cardiothoracic surgery, I actually had a rotation. That was my last rotation in college at Capital Community College, which is now Capital. I think it's what is it called now? It's not Capital Community College now. It's CT something.
I know.
It's not
I
Capital.
still call it Capital Community
It's
though.
still Capital Community College to me. Sorry, you guys, but it's still Capital Community. When I had my last clinical rotation, it was on a cardiology unit at Hartford Hospital. I was already working there as a CNA in neuro, so I did neuro, trauma, so people that get shot, get in car accidents. I was 19 years old. I started at Hartford Hospital. And so I'm in nursing school. I'm experiencing all this. I did psych, so I was able to kind of get the feel. And when I went to surgery, specifically cardiothoracic surgery, it was like I fell in love with the whole entire environment. Like the heart is the pump of the entire body and it controls everything. If you don't have blood coming from your heart, healthy blood coming from your heart, a lot of things can happen in your body. So that's where I settled and worked at Hartford Hospital for about 13 years on the cardiothoracic surgery floor. It was an amazing experience.
Wow. So, okay. So, you know what? Because that kind of changed what I was thinking. Because in the immigrant community, everybody I see, even my cousins, they're being pushed to be a nurse. I'm like, God, there's other professions besides being a nurse. But what those are immigrant parents want for us, right? They want us to have stability. They want to have a good job to make good money and can provide for ourselves, right? So they're going to push you into the field that they feel you can get that with. So I'm glad, wasn't necessarily a push upon you, but you actually kind of chose it in a sense, after this test. Do you think this test was right? Or do you still wonder what you could have been if you were a teacher?
I had experiences. So although I did take that test, I also had my own life experiences. When I was 16, I did summer camp and I was like, no, I don't want to take care of anybody's kids. They out here screaming. They don't listen. They're spitting. So I was like, nope. I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I can't do this, And I was like, and so that kind of, and you know what? And I did it in fun days in East Hartford, but it was also kids from Glastonbury and other, towns that abutted East Hartford that came to the camp as well. So we had a different, group, some people lived in not so great areas. Some people lived in great areas, but the way that the children behaved, you don't know everybody's household. So everybody is different. And the level of respect, I was like, when you tell the parents, they're like, that's all right, Johnny, get in the car. And you're like, you just spit on somebody. Like, are you going to say something to your kids? So it wasn't for me because I know in my household and the way my mother raised me, there was no way that would, so I know I couldn't challenge other people's beliefs and their cultures at that time. And I was only 16 years old. I was like, oh, I can't do this. This isn't for me. So that's when I decided I didn't want to be a teacher.
Oh, look at you.
It wasn't for me. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. I was like, me in the class.
Divine revelation.
That was it. And so getting in those classes that my counselors placed me in was helpful because now I had the experience. I did chemistry. I'm doing research, I'm going and I'm learning about patient care. I'm learning about anatomy and physiology in the body. So that was exciting to me, so it sparked something in me. And I guess that's what counselors are supposed to do, right?
You're so grateful that the counselors at the school pointed you in a direction.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've been out of high school for 24 years now, right? So back then, I had amazing counselors. Like they were invested in my growth. You know what I mean? Like I actually did well in school. I had good grades. So when, these hiccups and stuff happened in my life, they pulled me in like, this is a smart girl, let's help her out. So when I went and took that test and they placed me in the allied health program at East Hartford High, it just opened up this new world for me, right? Like I fell in love with healthcare and anatomy and physiology. I thought it was so cool how the body worked. I love science, math I was very good at. So it just fit, and I still love it. Like I still love what I do. A lot of people get jaded from the job that they have. And sometimes you're like, oh, I can't stand this. I don't do it. But I could never see myself being anything else than what I am.
I know. That's awesome. That's awesome. My mom is an RN as well, and she's working to be an APRN. I'm like, Mom, shouldn't you be retiring? She was like, no, this has been my dream forever. So she's going for it. I'm like, okay, good for you.
What did she want to be though? Like what kind of
She
APRN
told
did
me,
she
but
want to
I'll
do?
get back to you.
Okay. Because I was like, please let it be like dermatology or gastrointestinal. We don't have that many, or allergenists. Like, I'm trying to push people to do those things.
Oh, I'll let her know. I'll let her know. So
Absolutely.
so please share your journey for being, so you went from being practicing nurse, right, to becoming a health equity consultant and life skill coach. First of all, Simona, what is a health equity? I've never heard of this. What is a health equity consultant? What is that?
I love it. I love it. All right. So you are very versed in your field, right? You're very versed in finance and you know a lot about it. And when it comes to these healthcare terms, you're like, what's that? What is this?
Exactly.
Right? So I'm the person that levels that playing field. I'm that person now that say you're in the hospital or you have some questions about what's going on with your health, with your life, because your health is your life. You're sick, things don't move. So if you have questions and things that you don't understand, I'm going to level that playing field. The equity piece comes in because Black and brown people, we know even less than our white counterparts, than our Asian counterparts. Even our Native American population doesn't know as much about their health and wellness, and this is their land. So those types of things, when things come up like about diabetes, I listened to a story yesterday. I give you a little piece of things. I was on a health equity coalition group. So this is across the United States. Some people are in Canada, some people are in Africa, and we get on this call and we talk about breaking down the structures of how equity is not reached across board, right? Equity meaning that everybody receiving the same care as it relates to them, because your care is going to be different than mine. Ours is going to be very similar because we're Black women, so our bloods, things that happen to us in our life will be the same. So the woman told a story about her family. She put a picture up and like of them. We didn't know it was her family, and it emoted an emotion. She said, "Tell me what you feel about these people." It was a beautiful Black woman. You could see that she's older, and it was in black and white. And the gentleman, and they were kind of like close to each other, real delicate. The gentleman was in an army outfit, and so she was like, "Tell me what you feel about these people." And we're just like, oh, I said like auntie and uncle, I want to go to their house and have dinner. Somebody said like, Black love, joy, things of that nature. And so she went on to say this was her family. This was her grandmother and her grandfather. And then she said, the woman in the picture is my grandmother, and she was the life of the party. She cooked food every Sunday. Everybody came over and had dinner and everything like that. And she had diabetes and she had an amputation, and it crumbled our family. right? You see the emotion you get. You were pulled in by the story. This is her grandmother, and you know how you feel about that person. And there's somebody in your family. You go to their house and you like imagine if something happened to that person, and you don't know what to do because there's no one medical in your home. Now, how are we gonna get care for this person? Their leg is gone. They cannot walk. How are we gonna assist them to walk? Do we need a bed? Do we need all of these things? Now it's unraveling and happening. Simona's coming in. Nurse Mona is coming in to level the playing field. Now I'm going to tell you what you need. I'm going to tell you how to get it. And I'm going to tell you how to advocate for yourself in a way that doesn't feel like you don't know what's happening. The purpose of the advocacy and creating equity across the board is so people understand how to say to somebody, this is what I need, right? And so learning and listening to that story and hearing those things, it's a lot of the stuff that I experienced in working in a hospital where I'm the sole person in there, only Black girl in the room, and they're telling this person about themselves. But I'm like, do you know their life? Like, do you know what they went through? Do you know why this person, ended up on drugs? Do you know why this person didn't understand, about diabetes? One of the patients they gave me this pill, a white pill, and told me to take it, and I thought this was a magical pill. And this magical pill was gonna cure my sugar. That's what most people call it, sugar. I cure my sugar.
We know a little sugar,
Not a little
It's not a
sugar.
little sugar, people.
But none of the educational piece was put forward in a way that that person could understand that it's not just that pill, is that you need to make sure that your diet is right, that you need to count your carbohydrates, that you need to exercise, that you need to keep your weight at a certain level, so that is the level of playing field that I help our people meet. Because it's sometimes in our healthcare providers' minds, like everybody should know this, like, but we went to school for this. Like, you went to school for financing, and I'm like, girl, tell me, please teach me, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why wouldn't people not know what to do with their bodies, even though it belongs to them, but they don't really know the chemistry that's going on, the anatomy that's going on, the biology that's going on in their body, because they need a professional to teach them. So that's where I come in.
So is there one of you in every hospital, or is this unique to you where you are? It's like, can I find Monas everywhere when I go to a hospital and say, I excuse me, I need a health equity consultant? Who is that?
Absolutely, yeah. So not the term health equity consultant, but we can also say, I don't feel comfortable with the care that you're giving me, and I would like to speak to somebody that understands my culture. That's the way in which that we have to say it. Like, do you understand how to take care of a Black woman? Do you understand the percentages? Are we now talking about the books? Or are you going to listen to my story and what I've been through and what I do eat? Or are you going to think in your mind, oh, she just eating a whole bunch of sugar, and don't Black people like collard greens, macaroni and cheese, and fried chicken? We get these stigmas pinned on us. Women like but yam and banana, you know what I mean? And like, I like healthy things, so, and I don't eat those kind of bad things usually. So the stigmas that get placed on us when we are laying in a hospital bed and we are vulnerable and we don't know what to say, sometimes us as a culture, we lash back out with anger or get me out of here, but the real way is that you're not getting me, so I need somebody else. And it's okay to say that. So you will find Monas, because you will find the Northern Connecticut Black Nurses Association, Inc. You will find the doctors that care about their patients. You will find the National Hispanic Nurses Association. You will find the Nigerian nurses that are in there. But you need to sometimes find people that are going to take care of you, and it is just asking. Caucasians, white people, they don't have to ask for it because there's a plethora that come into the room, and the way in which they treat people is different. A lot don't want to admit that, but it is because they have their own stigmas about race and people's races and the way that we live our lives. So when you are in the hospital or you're in a situation where you don't feel comfortable with the care, fire that person and get somebody that is listening to you. Find you a nurse, Mona. Find you a Black or Hispanic nurse.
Be empowered. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
there you go.
Wow, that's all to take in, Mona. I'm taking it all in here. So what other significant disparities have you observed in the healthcare system? I know you're saying that, yes, we have the right to ask who we want if we feel like we're not being understood. So we're not being rude or telling people to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, honest, and if you don't feel understood or you feel like you're not being listened to, you have the right to say, you know what, can I have someone else? But what other disparities are you seeing, especially as affecting the immigrant population and the Black and brown community as well. Because I know even in my family still, we do a lot of bush. I'm not going to lie to you. We do a lot of natural remedies first, right? And then we come to you.
Yeah. So disparities, our culture, every culture has their different thing going on when it comes to the way in which we live our lives, right? And the foods that we eat. When it comes to disparities, when you walk in the room and you see the person, yes, of course, you're going to know what the race is and who they are in the bed, right? You're looking at them, you've read their chart and everything like that. The overall arching should be when this person is laying here, that is they're human, and that we need to talk to them about their story and not just read about somebody else's opinion on that person, because that's a lot of the ways that we get into trouble of how to care for somebody properly. So for instance, I worked in a cardiothoracic surgery unit, and after I left practicing at the bedside, I actually went to case coordination. So that's a discharge planner in the hospital. So my job was I still stayed in cardiothoracic surgery and a little bit of medicine because we had a step down unit. And my job was to create a plan for somebody to safely exit the hospital. So that's what a case manager does in the hospital. You look at stakeholders, insurance, what can be paid for, what items people will need when they leave the hospital. I had a young woman in the ICU, Black girl who was 30 something years old. It was her second open heart surgery. So open heart surgery is they saw your breast open, right? And they take a rib cage and they open up your chest. Sometimes they can do it less invasively, but that's like, going through the groin. There is some pain with that. But this particular instance, this woman was having a lot of pain. She had chest tubes, and chest tubes are about that big, and they go about this long into your body, and they go out to something called an atrium. That is, it's creating a negative pressure system in order to get the blood out of the body and the fluids that we put in there during surgery, right? Because we have to pump people, they go on bypasses. And so, white blood cells, everything's there creating all of this juices basically and blood in the heart cavity, and you don't want to squish the heart. So she's got these chest tubes, she, been put back together, and she's in there in tears. She's holding on to the bedside rails. Her knuckles she's like white knuckled, and she's just sitting there breathing like this. And I'm like, what's up, honey? What's going on? And she was like, I'm in pain. And I was like, did they give you pain medicine? She was like, a while ago, but I asked for something else and they told me that, I was fine. I said, okay, let me go out there and see what's going on and everything like that. Just remember, holding on to the side rails, crying. She's not pressing on the call button, begging for any medicine. She not, you know what I mean? When somebody is med seeking, this is what they do. Where's my medicine? They do that. She's just laying in the bed. So I went out there, and then the person that was in charge of her happened to be she in her 20s, like later 20s. So she was a physician assistant. And I said, listen, that so-and-so is having a lot of pain. She said, oh, don't worry about her. She smokes a lot of weed. This is her second surgery anyway. So I sat down on the bedside and I put my hand like this. And I was like, would you do that if that was me? I said, look at me. I said, would you do that? She's in there holding onto the side rail and she's crying. And I said, you've got the man down the hallway, a 62-year-old white man with a PCA pump in control of his pain, sleeping like a baby. And you got this 30-something-year-old girl in here crying. I said, would you do that to me if I was in the bed? What is the reason why you're having this? And she looked at me and she was shocked at what I said to her. And if I wasn't there, are we going to allow this little Black girl to have all of this pain because you have whatever preconceived notion that you have in your head about this young lady? Fast forward, she was transferred out of the ICU. They took her chest tubes out. I went and visited her again because she was on my mind. I had to make sure that she was okay. I went in there. They took her chest tubes out. She was sleeping like a baby on her side. She was sleeping like this. And I went in there and I'm like, oh my God, she's like, I feel so much better, girl. Thank you so much. Not because she needed a whole dose of pain medicine. I think they gave her something called tramadol. That's not really a narcotic. It's like kind of like extra strength Motrin. They gave her a tramadol. They took her chest tubes out. She was comfortable. Why did I have to advocate for her in that way? Instead of you looking at that person, instead of reading whatever is in your chart, you looking at her and saying, this isn't right. She's in too much pain. We need to figure this out for her. You know what I mean? So that is what we call equity. Because the 62-year-old man was fine. Why isn't she okay? So get up and do something about it. And that's the kind of stuff that I would do. That's the way that I would advocate for people while they, were in the hospital underneath my care. If I'm in reach to them and I see something that is happening of that nature, then I'm going to make sure that I'm there.
Yeah. And this is why I love nurses. And as I said, my mom is a nurse and my half sisters is in the medical field. Like, there's a lot of people in the medical field. I'm the only business person, okay? I'm the black sheep or whatever I am.
We need you. We need you.
Everybody's in the medical field, people. But I always tell people, nurses are your number one advocate. They are. They're the one that knows you. They're the one that's at your bedside. They're the one that become a part of your family. They, they interact with you. They are. Nurses, doctor. Look, I went to school long enough. I have doctors in my family too. But doctors come, they read the things that the nurses put down and make a decision and go on their way. The relationship building is with the nurse and the patient. So the nurse is your number one advocate. So I'm saying the nurses play such an important role in healthcare. It's amazing. I mean, I hear, I see how my mom cares and bring things home sometimes. And she's just so passionate about what she does. So, I totally get what you're saying in terms of the nurse care. But yeah, I'm glad you were there. If you weren't there, my God, it doesn't matter what people do or what they think they're people. Yeah. So how do you, empower individuals and families to advocate for their health and navigate the healthcare system effectively? Like, say you're not there at that moment, it's your day off, because nurses get day off, even though my mom works doubles all the time. They do get the day off. So how do I advocate for myself, Nurse Mona?
Finding people like your mom and the people in your family, like, talk to me about our family. Talk to me about who in our family had cancer. Talk to me about who had diabetes. You think that it will affect us? Like, talk and know your body inside and out more than somebody else. And if you don't understand something, find somebody that does. I don't understand what you're saying to me about this pill that I'm taking. Empower yourself enough to advocate for yourself. I say this all the time, and it's the simplest thing. We, as a culture, will fire our barber, our nail tech, and our hair professionals in a second. Why don't we do the same for our doctors? And they're not listening to you. They're not listening to you. I went to the doctor's office one time. This was my provider moved to Kansas. I was like, broke it. She moved away, and I walked in for a new provider, and I'm telling her all this stuff that was happening to me. My hair was falling out. I was having muscle twitching and pain in the back of my calf. All of this stuff was happening. She's like, are you exercising? Are you stretching? Oh, your hair, I had like braids or something. She's trying to touch my hair. Your hair is really nice. Oh,
never touch a Black woman hair.
That was the last time she touched my little twisties and whatever. And I got rid of her and came to find out that I had thyroid problems. I don't know if you can see my neck. It's a little bit swollen. I have my sister Fly likes to call it thyroid energy. I have this thyroid energy that I have nodules on there, and it causes these palpitations in my heart sometimes if my numbers are lower, and I didn't know that. And luckily I did get a provider after her that was concerned enough to say, let's do all of this blood work to see what's going on with you. Like, your neck does look swollen. Let me touch your, you know what I mean? Like, instead of touching my hair, and I'm telling her that I've got a bald spot that I'm covering in my head because my hair is falling out. Something is wrong with me. Instead of her saying, oh, let me just write you a dermatology consult. That's my friend. They're in Glastonbury, because now you want me to go get shots in my head, but that's not the underlying problem. The underlying problem is something is going on in my body that caused all of this to happen. And so when you figure out yourself, your history, what's going on in your body, so that change is happening, you can be empowered and say, I'm educated enough to know this is not right with my body, and this is the family history, so I'm going to need you to research this for me. So always advocating, always feeling empowered, and always knowing that you're in control of your life.
Yeah. I said to my clients all the time, I was like, when they come to me sitting in the world of debt, I'm like, okay, those are the symptoms. You can't sleep at night, you have anxiety. Okay, those are the symptoms. What's the cause? Why are you not stopping spending? Why are you not taking, exactly. What's preventing you from cutting up the credit card right now? Why are you having, but yes, you have, you can't treat a symptom. You got to get to the root cause of it. And especially in the medical field. And, you keep touching upon diabetes, because diabetes really run a rampage in our community. And I'm glad you say that, because my grandmother have diabetes, and she also, she'll touch the sugar. I'm like, girl, grandma, you don't have to touch the sugar. You have diabetes. Or I've seen other people in the community say, "Oh, I'm not claiming it." I'm like, you don't have to claim it. You got it. So you need to take care of it. Because I feel like I was like, diabetes to me is one of the worst diseases out there. Reason being, because it can take everything. It can kill you from the inside out. Right? It's everything. You can lose limbs. You can lose your eyesight. It can affect your heart. I mean, it is such a big thing because, when I was younger, my sister got diagnosed with type 1. She was like 8, or she was really young when she got diagnosed because we didn't know what was going on. And once again, we know we're fresh immigrants here. Ran to the community clinic. They told us that she was growing. And my mom was like, I don't believe that. My mom went to, no, at the time we just migrated here. So she was taking care of other children, other people's kids,
Hospitality. Or was she doing home care?
In home care. But we know what it is. We know, us immigrants know what it is. And she, for a wealthy family in Westport, they're very nice. And my mom expressed her concern that something's wrong with my daughter, something's wrong with my daughter. And the nurse is not listening to me. The doctor's not listening to me. And she was like, bring her to my doctor. And she immediately did not pass go. Ambulance came from my sister and rushed her to Yale Medical Hospital. And if it had stayed, I would not have a sister today. So you have to go with your instinct and have to know what's going on with you.
It's your life. Like, it is your life. You know what I mean? Like, it's your life. And about the diabetes, because I like to give that educational piece, because you talk about the not being able to see and the amputation and stuff like that. Now, the reason why you can't see, you can't, your kidneys are shutting down, is because the amount of sugar that we're taking in, almost everything has sugar in it, because carbohydrates break down into sugar, and that's the chemistry of it, right? You eat a potato, it does have sugar, it's starchy, it will break down and become a sugar. You eat a piece of candy, it's going to break down and become sugar in your body. Your pancreas is not acting effectively to gobble up that sugar. So because it's not acting effectively to gobble up that sugar, you've got an abundance of sugar in your body. It's a crystallized thing. So those crystallized things go behind there and sit on your optic nerve. They sit inside of your kidneys. And what are they doing now? They're stopping good oxygenated blood and nutrients to get there. So now you're killing off that optic nerve because the sugar is sitting there and not allowing these nutrients to get to your eyeball. You're killing off your kidneys because the sugar is sitting there and your body cannot pass it through. You're killing you. We got little tiny capillaries in our legs and our hands and stuff like that the blood is going through, and it can't move because the sugar, it's like syrup, right? Syrup in your system, and it's not going through as it should. And so when you have that settle in there, you have death of that space. Things are dying. It becomes necrotic. So your leg dies, gets chopped off because of what you're eating. And you just have to find ways in order to gobble up that sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Nurse Mona, I know you talk about potatoes and stuff. Let's talk about the food that we eat. Yam. Let's talk about the food that we eat. Does yam does it? And, boiled dumpling and not the American sweet potato, but the sweet potato, you know what I'm talking about?
I love
the boiled green banana.
Yes.
Does that all contribute to it? Plantains? Does that
But let me tell you something. They're healthy and everything in moderation. So if we about to have a boiled dumpling, then you're going to have a lot of protein on that plate then, or you're going to have a lot of vegetables on that plate. You know what I mean? Like things that are going to offset this. Now you want a treat, because a dumpling is a treat. That's a lot of sugar. That's flour and sugar, mush up, oils, and put on the plate. So your pancreas have to break down this big thing of a dumpling or a yam. Where is your lettuce? Let's give my body a break. This don't have lettuce and your vegetables and stuff like that. Not no sugary dressing like the French and stuff that we like to put on there. We're talking about fat-free Italian, nobody creamy stuff. You got a nice salad. No salad with when them soak the salad and nice green rustic salad, because you want that dumpling. It's a little bit of a give and a take when it comes to it. Now, if your diabetes is at a certain level that you can't even have that dumpling, that's just something that you cannot have. It's just something that you need to abstain from, right? Because what is it? Your life, right?
Yeah.
So is this dumpling worth my eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Is this dumpling worth my leg and me walking and me, chaka chaka and dancing up and, you know what I mean? Is it worth that in the long run? because it's not one dumpling. We are continuing with a fried dumpling, the yam, and big thing, and we have our soup, and we have all of these things. Is it worth it to you to lose it? Or my sugars have been so good for the past week, I can have a dumpling.
Not two, but a dumpling. Here she
One.
said a dumpling. Discipline practices. So I tell my clients, discipline practices. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I will practice as well. I'm good. I'm telling you, I'm so good with money, but when it comes to that fried dumpling, and Granny made the best dumpling. So I'm like, what is fried? While she's frying it, it's going. Like, honestly, there's never any to sit down and eat, because all the grandkids are like, just take one and eat it. As it comes to the pot.
In Barbados, it's bakes. So we have bakes, and they're so good, and they're like fluffier, like a little pancake, but fluffier. So I know how it is. So they hit the plate, you eating it, you got the syrup, you mixing it up.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. We can do it. We can do it, family. We can do it.
We can do it. We can do it. Listen, I don't eat meat anymore because the hormones they inject in the animals affects my thyroid, right? And then so after not eating it for a while, I develop an aversion to it. So I don't eat like chicken or any. I do eat eggs still, and I eat fish. So there's the things that I eat, because I know that if I eat chicken, they inject the animals something's, my thyroid. I don't drink alcohol anymore. My family has stomach acid issues. So I abstain from these things because I know it's going to affect my body in a negative way, and I don't want to feel that.
When you go home, when you go back, do you go back to Barbados often, or good? When you go home, do you feel like the meat is different there? Because I cut out meat too, right? But I'm still struggling with the oxtail. I must tell you that. And whenever I see oxtail, I'm like, let me take the gravy. But when I go home, I feel that the body responds, especially my husband, he's diabetic. When he go home, he doesn't respond the same way. His diabetes doesn't respond the same way to the food as when he's here. So I'm thinking, it's a difference in the growing and preparation and the care of the animals.
Yeah, well, we have fresher farms. There's not like a lot of antibiotics being used. We don't have money for that in the islands. So the chicken gets sick. The chicken not gone. Like we can't use that chicken. You're not gonna inject it with antibiotics to make it feel better so somebody can eat it, because whatever that chicken experience, you're gonna be eating it. We do that a lot here in the United States, whereas we don't do that home. We have a lot of farmers in the islands where that is the way of life. Like, this is their living. They have to grow these yams, bring it down to market to sell it in order to pay for water in their house, or you know what I mean? So they don't have the access to these antibiotics to inject, or to whatever kind of fertilizer or pesticides that they are putting in the soil. It's just fresher on the island, and there's definitely a difference. Even my kids talk about it when they go on KFC, the first place they go when they go back to Barbados. Do you think they come into a KFC? My kids will not. They won't eat KFC here, but as soon as we are on a KFC, right? That's the first place we only get there.
Yeah, same thing in Jamaica. I'm like, guys, we don't eat KFC in America. What are you doing? It tastes different.
And they're like, it tastes like lemon.
So, okay, so as we're talking about money, how is like individuals' financial position affected by this?
It's a big deal. I mean, in order for us here to get healthy foods and vegetables, we got to go to bigger supermarkets. In Hartford right now, on the north end, can you think of a major supermarket?
Every corner, even bodegas.
How many fast food places can you think of? On Albany Avenue itself.
Yeah.
On Albany Avenue itself, how many fast food restaurants can you think of? Tons. You got tons of chicken spots, fried stuff, access is not available to our people. Why? Why is there not, I'll use Whole Foods, but that kind of a space on that side of town? Why are our people getting this garbage food funneled into our neighborhoods? And that's what we're going to afford. It's there. It's accessible. You got $1 menu. It was $1 menu. Now it's a $2 or $3, but it's accessible. You got that little bit of change to feed your family. We're not going to go and look for, the healthier salads and stuff like that. That's not going to fill you to bring all of those groceries, and then you don't have no money anyways. I gotta go take this bus over here to get there. It's like people are going through a lot right now, and our population has been going through a lot for a long time. So now when are we going to level the playing field where it's not that hard for us to afford these healthier foods and in abundance? Because a salad is not going to fill a hole in a kid's stomach. Like we're gonna get the food that's we about to get this bread. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get this bag of rice and stuff like that, so that we make sure that we feed our families in a way. Like we're gonna get this Kool-Aid because we can't afford that juice, right? So we're gonna get this big and we're gonna put a whole bunch of sugar in. Great, they feeling good and they go into bed without a hole in their stomach. So us advocating to get I've been on the kick for this for a long time. When is that grocery store coming there? Like at one point, I wanted to like get people together to fund getting that grocery store on the north end of Hartford because there is a Stop and Shop on the south end, but there is not
Yes,
one
there is.
on the north end. We don't have the access. We have to go all the way to Bloomfield to get food. So to me, that's a problem. We get like, farmers and stuff like that bring stuff in, but it's not readily available all the time. It got to be in the summertime.
And I feel like the one that's there, the ethnic one that's there, is so expensive.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying any names, but I mean, I'm like, I can't afford this. I was like,
yep, you go in there and the yams are so expensive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how are we supposed to eat great if it's not accessible to us, if it's not there for us? We're gonna eat what we can. And so in that as well, I do educate people on how to eat healthier and not feel so hungry and stuff like that. So when I do talk to clients and patients and stuff like that, I do help them to get those resources and make sure they find those farmers markets and know when the dates are available and when they're coming to the neighborhood, so they can access that and come away with a bag full of groceries instead of a little bit of stuff. So
and even the food pantry, do you think the food pantries have healthier options as well?
Sometimes. So it depends on the kind of donations that they get. A lot of the times when food pantries get food is us cleaning out our cabinets of what we don't want. And it's usually canned and boxed items, which have a lot of sodium. Anything in the middle of the aisles in a supermarket. So when you go to the supermarket, if you're somebody that has health issues that you need a heart healthy diet, you got hypertension, diabetes stuff, you should be staying at the outside aisles because that's where all the produce is. If you go in a supermarket, now you're going to notice all on the outside, you've got fresh fruits, vegetables, you've got your meats, you got fish, you've got milks, dairy, they're all in the circle around it. Whereas in the aisles is all things that are packaged, that are that have been sprayed with pesticides or whatever, canned items that, whatever that's in there that don't last long. So the food pantry gets those kind of items, which is unfortunate because people that don't have a lot of money go there, but they're just trying to eat. When you are donating, this is just a tip for people. When you are donating, look for lower sodium items to give to the food pantry and things that seem a little bit more healthier to provide. Like a lot of people donate bread, wheat bread, stuff like that people can have some nutrition, more than just nutrition, but good nutrition from.
Yeah. Good, because they usually they refer to the grocery market, so they give you a bag to go shop. So I know that when I take my bag, I'll make sure I'll do that stuff. Because you're thinking food pantry, you want you're thinking things that last a long time because you don't know when people are going to come in. So that's why I buy those things because I'm like, okay, this can last a while for
Right.
whoever is coming. Fresh produce have to go immediately. So that's my thought. But money, so Miss Nurse Mona, what's your relationship with money? Tell me your money story. What's going on there?
Let's see. My relationship with money. I feel like I'm always, I get in a good spot, right? And I've paid off all my bills and my debt is down. And usually it was the time when like you get your income taxes check and I'm able to pay off all of this stuff, right? And then as a nurse, we can make money. Like I can go and I'm a nurse. I can go and travel and make thousands of dollars, but I have my kids here. So money is accessible to us. So it was like, if I spend it, I can get it back. And that was not a good thing and then I didn't know much about insurance until I got older. I had insurance policies, just from working at the hospital, they would provide these insurance policies, but I didn't know much about it, and I was always on that. I got to do overtime to take a trip kind of thing, because again, the money was accessible. So it was easily spent and easily got back. So I feel like it's an okay relationship, you know. I feel like we're not dating anymore, but like because I'm coming more
You still have his
intimate.
number.
I still have that number, so we dialed or whatever. And in this past 2 years, like I think that's when I got connected with you in this past year. I started learning more about it and kind of appreciating it and not overspending, because that was it's always a problem where the it's not there. Well, I'll take this money here and then spend it on this. Whereas I didn't realize how to make my money work for me. Like, you think about money working for you, you think about the stock market, to be honest with you. You don't think about these IRAs or Roth accounts or anything like that. I just learned that in the past couple of years. There's nobody there in the hospital when I was working to be like, all right, you need to do this, and my mom, and my dad didn't educate me on that kind of stuff. So this past couple of years, so now I'm like decreasing that and increasing my equity, owning property, and like the car thing, like you buy a car and you think your car is like gonna last forever, no, as soon as you drive it off a lot, it goes down. So
I'm happy to hear that, because yes, and that's why I work with the organization as well to provide financial literacy education, because my mom, I love her to pieces, and a lot of people in my church, because my church is all Jamaican, it does happen, right? And then most of them are in the nursing field or in the healthcare field, and they can make money. They can make money like I can't, right? I don't work overtime. They can make more money. And my mom was on that train. My mom was like, oh, we're going on a trip. I just work some overtime. I just do some doubles and we have the money. I'm like, no.
and you're like killing yourself. You're like, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I'm about to do 20 doubles. Like, oh.
I'm like, I was like, you are making more money than the median American, than the average American. I'm like, you are making more money than my husband and I together, Mom. I was like, you can manage money you have better and still have a fabulous life, go on vacation and have all that and have money left over. She's like, I can't. I was like, yes, you can. So I had to start with my mom. And when I got her, and I was like, okay, my business is official. I can do this if I can get this lady.
Yes. Oh my God. I started with my family too with health coaching. And I was like, oh, listen, this is what we got to do. This is what you're not going to eat. Everything from like bowels that be calling me. I'm like, yep, this. So yes, our family are our testers.
Yes. But yes, and because you can make more money than me, you should. Do it and be reckless with your money. Because sometimes, as I said, it's the healthcare field, right? If you get sick, you see people all the time. What's going to happen?
Absolutely.
What's going to happen?
And you don't have
right?
that like
exactly
anything. So like at one point I didn't have anything to fall back on because I was paying for school and and working. So at one point I was like, I don't have anything to fall back on, and it was a scary space.
Yeah.
What if I got sick? Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, there's no doubles anymore. There's no doubles. So So tell me about your migration story. Tell me your family migration story. Break it down for me.
Absolutely. So, my family, mostly all of them comes from Barbados. So all of my grandparents were born there on the island. My mother was born there. My father was born there, and my father actually came here first. He had a scholarship at a college in New York and was playing soccer. And so he played soccer there and brought my mom with him, had my sister first, and then had me. And so he decided that he didn't want to play anymore. He got very much into his Rastafarian culture, which I respect and I understand. And he didn't want to be in the space where he was in anymore. He's like, I don't want to play ball anymore, and it was like for the white culture, you know what I mean? He's like, no, I want to go back, So he went back to Barbados, and my mom and me and my sister stayed here. And so we my grandmother lives in New York. So my mom stayed with her, and we kind of grew there a little bit. Actually went back to Barbados with my father, my sister and I, and went through preschool there. And then I believe like a half a year of kindergarten. And my mom came back and got us, like, I want my kids, and came and got us back. And came and brought us to the United States, my sister and I, and we've been here ever since. So we were born in Brooklyn, New York, my sister and I. And so went back there and got that island education, like when we were young. So, and then came back here, and it was so different than Barbados, the cultural shock. Like, I remember we were living in Windsor in River Bend. I don't know if it's still called that now, over there in Pequannock. And we had like a sliding door, And I remember running through the sliding door because I didn't know it was there. We didn't have no screens like that in Barbados. We had to shut the door. You know what I mean? Like, so it was there, and everybody's laughing, and it's like we came and we had like our little afros because my dad was Rasta and we didn't perm our hair, and so my mom like put a jerry curl in our hair, like when we got here, to fit into the culture. So it was a culture shock. So that's how we did get that island lifestyle. Because in Barbados, when we lived with my dad, we had goats. I watched a sheep being born like right in front of me. Then pull the sheep out. We had a sugarcane field. Like I would play with butterflies and put them together. Let me do that now. Like that's not happening. Feeding the my little sheep that was just born. We had chickens and monkeys in the tree. It's a different culture from being there, but it was a good life still. It was different. So that's our
Yeah.
story.
That's interesting. My mom never tried to make us assimilate. She still with my bubbles, and she still made me. I had to. My mom was like, "No, they're gonna adjust to you," and I'm like, "Oh God." I went through it.
Oh yeah, we got our break.
So I never got my hair perm. I never did it. I was always natural.
Yes.
So eventually I went dread. I'm like, you know what, Mom? I'm going dread. That's it. I'm going dread. Because before they had a crown law, I saw where I had internship and it was affected because of my natural hair. Because I was just professionally. I mean,
Isn't that horrible?
It was horrible. And I know that was it because I was shopping at New York and Company at the time, right? New York and Company at the time, they were professional clothes for young people. So I know I was on point. I was on my stockings, my heels, doing everything I was supposed to do. And they was like, well, we don't feel like you're dressing professional. I'm looking at myself and like, what? So the only thing that was left was my natural hair. So I said, okay. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to perm my hair. I'm not going to change my, my way. So I was like, okay, dread it is. I go dread.
That's what I was gonna say. Not for you. That place wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me because now I'm excelling. But I know we're running low on time. But I really want to talk about the Rose in Hartford because I feel like that is an amazing, amazing, amazing thing that you're doing. You have to talk about it, please. Rose in Hartford, let's go.
So when I left Hartford Hospital, because I was working for Hartford Hospital for a while, I decided when I was leaving that I wanted to form my own business. And that's where Simona Zaneta Consulting came in because I wanted to be an advocate. I was in a hospital. I felt limited on what I could do for our community. So I came out and I was like, I'm going to do this stuff. I had so much joy and I'm ready to do this stuff. And I was like, a lot of stuff was coming up about women's health. And I have both of my sisters, my biological sister, Sheba, dealing with bad cramps and and nobody really listening to her. About my foster sister Shamika. She was like from high school, whenever she would have her period, she would like throw up and be like wrapped around the toilet, and then there was all this stuff coming out about what a real woman was, and I was like, we're gonna have something to celebrate being a woman. Okay. And so it birthed a Rose in Hartford. And I connected with a friend of mine, Maisha Macon of the Sister Circle Hartford, Women Empowering Women, and decided that we were going to do a women's wellness celebration. Maisha does a lot of like outreach stuff and bringing women together of color and women in general, just sitting down, talking, doing things, talking about our stories and health, self-care and all this stuff. So I was like, she's perfect. We got to work together. So we did this and without any funds. This year we like charged our vendors, but last year we had no money and we're like, we're going to do this. I said, Maisha, we got to get Pratt Street. And so she was like, I'm on it. She emailed, she was calling people. That's the kind of energy
That's the center of town. When I saw Pratt Street, I was like, what? Simona.
And I was like, and when we got it, we were so like excited. Like, is this going to be beautiful? It's going to be amazing. We got T'Challa Rock, Sister Fly, with the Fly Movement and Dr. Lucinda Canty to come on the street of Hartford. And
that's huge. People don't understand. That's huge.
Huge about health and wellness. We talked about menopause, about Black maternal health, and how Black women die 200% more than our counterparts in childbirth. Like 200%. That's more than the full thing. It's more than 100. We're dying in childbirth. So what are we gonna do? So we come out there and we tell our stories and we celebrate. And we've reached so many people. This year was our second year. And we had one of the young ladies that was homeless that was counseled by the Fly Movement, by Sister Fly and her team. They gathered around this girl and, provided tips for her, just empowered her. She came back this year and found us. And thanks and said, I just want to thank you so much for having this and just having something be accessible to us and showing us that people care. Like, you're just out here and you care. And it's not like you're just doing this for a photo op or anything like that. You're just showing, us love. And for me, that's a win. If one person comes back and they're affected by what we have done or have been able to grow or their life has been changed in any way, then that was a win for myself and Maisha. So that's a rose in Hartford. And we chose a rose because that is who we are as women, right? Roses ever change. If you ever have a rose bush or a rose that is planted, you could pour whatever on this rose, it's gonna grow back. We grow thorns, we wilt, but we always come back. We learn, we grow, and we adjust. So that's why we chose that rose to symbolize.
I love it. Because people always look at rose as and all talk about the thorn part, right? The part that stick you, but they never talk about the beauty, except on Valentine's Day. But they always talk about the thorn.
Exactly. Right. It's there. This rose doesn't stick me. So but that's who we are, right? So it's an amazing event where I can't wait for next year. More surprises, more talks, more education, just for us. Just for us, and just to be there in that atmosphere, like the wind's blowing, we got music playing, and we're having a good time. So
what is your long-term goal for, your consulting services, and how do you measure success for it?
My success, I tell people all the time that this is not a get rich thing for me at all by any means. Because like I told you, as a nurse, I can go and travel and pick up and make thousands of dollars. This is hard work for me. I don't like seeing our people sick. When I see somebody sick and not able to take care of themselves, and I know that the information is accessible and it's there, but they just don't know how to reach it, that's a problem for me. So my long-term goal is to continue to educate, and it's going to be passing the torch. I'm going to inspire. I know I am, because I already have inspire people to be education. Individuals in healthcare and advocate and show people that they can be empowered. So that is what I will continue to do, and growing and working with organizations like yours and the Black Nurses Association, Hispanic nurses, and just doing this work until I can't anymore. I will do this when I retire, honestly, because I love, the work that I do and showing people how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, it's amazing. I see stuff on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, look at this. Look at her. Look at my Bayesian girl.
Yeah, Bayesian to the board.
I am so proud of you. All of you and everything that you're doing. So that's something I ask all my guests. All right. What is one saying or, proverb that your parents always using you to encourage you, to chastise you, to teach you? You're Bayesian, so you have to have some. I know you do.
I'll go with my dad first. My dad, because both of them, my parents are similar but very, very different. So my mom is very fancy and like that classic Black woman, like, makeup, and my father is Rasta, and he taught me so much about the Bible. So my brother unfortunately was killed in Barbados. He was shot in the stomach, and we went to the funeral. I was like breaking, and I'm crying, and my mom was like, Tony, and then she pointed at me, and he grabbed me and he whispered in my ear. She said, Simona, life is going to go on, and you have to keep moving. Like, life, I go on, he said to me. So this is going to happen, but you have to keep moving. And so to me, that I work with that and I move with that for, just move on with life with that, and with my mom, she instilled so much into me, but she always said to smile. She said, Simone, no matter what, continue to smile, continue to be yourself, because people are always going to judge you and what you do and not understand what you do, but smile anyway and continue to do so. So I take both of that together and keep moving with my life and keep smiling in my life and just want to change the world one person at a time.
I love that. That's why I always end with that. I'm like, I love that because it's so encouraging. Like the things that people say from their culture, from their background, I'm like, that is nice. That uplifts my spirit. That's for me.
Absolutely. We choose our parents. So we trust our parents
Oh
from the
my,
womb. So they are in me.
yes, exactly. Oh my God. Oh wow, I love that. I love that. Oh, I didn't ask you, Simona. I know it's at the end, but are you teaching your kids about money? Are they learning? Or you think they fall in this?
Yes,
Yes.
my son, a little bit more amiable when it comes to listening about the money. He's 24, so he's understanding real adult life. The 16-year-old is the youngest, so she's very spoiled. If I don't get it, everything is accessible now. Somebody at Cash App or send, food on the porch. So she thinks money is like falling from the sky. And I said, Gabby, it's a rude awakening. So she'll be getting a job and figuring this out, but she does have a bank account. Both of them have the bank accounts set up. And yeah, so Joseph is a little bit easier. My little Gab is going to take some time.
She's not spoiled. She's blessed. And I tell my kids, you're blessed.
I know that's right. Blessed beyond measure. Highly.
But I love that. Keep moving, keep pushing on and smiling as you go through.
Thank you for having me.
I love that. I'm going to keep that with me. So I just want to tell my audience, this is the last episode for the season. But don't worry. We'll be back in January with more amazing stories and resources that you can use. We are also in the process of looking for sponsorship for our podcast to keep us, so keep us in your prayers, y'all. We're here. So while we're on our break, we're going to play our most popular shows, right? So we're going to keep it going. We're going to just drop off the face of the earth. The face of the earth. We're going to keep playing our popular shows that you can keep listening to them. But until next time, remember, keep your money irate.